Hi everyone, Boomer here for Caravel Gaming. You can see I'm in black at this point, in my black room. So therefore I am just going to be a floating head for this video, hopefully. And we are taking a look at the brand new Hex client. And of course the first thing that it does is bug. Not too sure why this happened, but I do fix this after about 4 picks or so. But let's have a look at this pack, or at least of what we can see of it. And what I want to do, at least for this draft, is look from a little bit from the point of view of some of you who might be playing Hearthstone. Now, in Hearthstone Arena, you're going to want, you get the choice of 90 cards, you play 30 of them, you pick 30 of them, that's your deck. In Hex, it's a little bit different than that, because you open 3 booster packs, each of which have 15 cards in them, and you pass the first pack to the left, the second pack to the right, and the third pack to the left. The pack goes around the table and each person picks up 1 card. Now, unlike in Hearthstone where you are going to take, you're going to play all 30 of your cards, in Hex that's not the case, because Hex uses an in-deck resource system, whereas Hearthstone just ticks up. So therefore you have to not only balance the colours in your deck, you also have, and mana cost as such, Solitary Exile cost 3, there we go, fixed it. Not only are you balancing that, you're also having to balance the number of shards in your deck, and you're also going to have the ability to switch your deck in and out between games. So there are certain cards that you maybe wouldn't put in your main deck, but you might put them in your reserves. Just going back over the couple of first picks, I had a really difficult first pick. 3 uncommons in that first pack: Wizard of the Silver Talon, Burn to the Ground, and Solitary Exile are pretty much all bombs. They're all cards that you're going to really want. Personally, I think Sapphire is a little overdrafted at the moment, and I would end up fighting an awful lot. I also think that Burn to the Ground Ruby isn't tremendous. I think Ruby's strong if you can get Singleton, if you can get total and utter control over it, but I very much doubt that I could. I just think that Diamond's deeper and stronger, so I ended up taking the Solitary Exile, plus the fact that Solitary Exile can just kill anything. The second pack was fairly simple with the Sapper's Charge, and in that pack, that was pretty harsh, because Phoenix Guard Aeronaut is one of the best Diamond Uncommons. It's really good, 3/2 flight, socketable. However, I will pretty much take Repel whenever I see it in a draft, so therefore I had to pass a couple of really strong Diamond cards. Wind Whisperer was there, there was the Aeronaut as well. There was also a Buccaneer in that pack, so there was a chance to go that far, but there's a Rockcaster in this pack. Rockcaster for me is pretty much, I think Rockcaster's the best blood uncommon, but it's really close. However, there's nothing else in this pack that's even close to Rockcaster level of power, so I'm going to take that. So we're looking at Blood Diamond and probably Control. One mistake that I actually see many players making with Buccaneer is that they take Buccaneer and then have no aggressive 2-drops in their deck, so they don't get the maximum value out of Buccaneer. What you're looking to do with Buccaneer is play your 2-drop, more than an aggressive 2-drop like Darkspire Priestess or something like that, 2 power or 3 power 2-drop, and then you want to Buccaneer their 2-drop on the play, and then you're just really far ahead in the game. So let's have a look. What do we got here? Grimskull Sorcerer I really like in Wild Diamond, because you can give him +1/+1 and make a 2/3 on turn 2. In this game currently, that's really good. For Hearthstone, obviously, a 2/3 for 2 isn't anything special, but currently a 2/3 for 2 that's easy to cast is really good. However, I am in Blood Diamond, so my choice here is between Terrible Transfer, which I think might wheel, or taking Boulder Brute and seeing if Wild Diamond might be open. This early on, I don't really see any need to commit to any sort of deck type. Skyle Griffin was pretty much the only pickable card there. The only thing I'm fairly sure of this at this point, being 6 cards in. I'm pretty much sure I'm playing Diamond. The rest of the deck I am not actually sure about at the moment. Rockcaster is obviously extremely powerful. Boulder Brute is extremely powerful as well. So this is going to, this really is going to depend on how things set out. There's another Buccaneer in this pack. Spearcliff Pegasus is fine if I want to stay on colour. Rigid Buffalo is also fine. Necessary Sacrifice is also fine. I'm not sure I like that pick at all. There were definitely cards that I could have taken there over a Buccaneer. But again, there is some... I said I'm only sure I'm playing Diamond at this point. So I think I would have preferred, especially since my deck's looking rather expensive at this point, I would have preferred a Pegasus to a Buccaneer. The only thing that keeps me away from Pegasus, really, is that it's got 1 toughness, and since the major deck types in this format, they run either Zared as their hero so it can kill off a 1 toughness guy for free, or they are a dwarf deck and therefore you're looking at bombsmiths all over the place. I really don't want to give people free value with X1s, so I tend to avoid them if I can. The only one I really pick a lot is Mazat Ranger, and that's because that creature is basically, if you don't deal with this, you are dead. Especially when you give it what I will in Diamond, which is going to be Swift Strike. It's going to be almost impossible to deal with in combat, especially if I can get a Blood Aura or something that takes it off 1 health. Well, it looks like the Terrible Transfer wields, so I'm going to take it. However, it is only my 2nd blood card. So, considering Terrible Transfer counts blood shards, I have to be a little bit worried about... I have to be a tiny bit worried about what I'm doing with... if I do play blood. Whoa, that's a really late Terrible Transfer. So I think this is decision point now. Do I go for the Grimskull Sorcerer and go Wild Diamond, or do I go for Terrible Transfer? It was a bit of a decision there because, as you can see, I have 4 blood cards and they all cost 5 mana. But at this point, I think I'm going to commit. I could always, if I were feeling adventurous or if I didn't have enough cards in the deck, I could always splash either Buccaneer or Boulder Brute. This is pretty much a no-brainer. There's a Mystic Spirit Walker in the pack that's in my colours. This guy is really, really good. I'm not sure if they fixed the bug on him yet. The bug was basically when he attacked, I think the bug was that his effect was permanent rather than just for this turn. I think it's this turn, is it? No, it's not. It's when it would be dealt damage this game. But I think that... excuse me. It basically got rid of the... when it's next dealt damage this game. It got rid of the next part of that. So it basically ended up with a permanent effect, which was a bit good. Okay, so what have we got here? We have another Terrible Transfer. We have a Wailing Banshee, and that's pretty much it. Call the Grave's a decent card as well, so is Shield Trainer. But I'm going to take Banshee. I'm looking a little bit light in drops at the moment, certainly around 3. Even though it looks like I'm shaping up to really be a control deck here, I do want to have some early game. And the Banshee just lets you get beats on fairly early against a lot of decks. So what do we have here? We have an Angelic Ascension, but I'm trying to stay away from 5s at the moment. I have a lot of 5s already and I don't really want to play them. He's not too bad, but I don't have too many creatures to play into it. Shadowgrove Witch is okay, but I'm really thinking about my curve here. Now, this is going to be a very surprising pick to quite a few people, but I'm actually going to take Charge Bot here. And the reason I decided to take that was, number 1, he's an early drop, which I don't have. Number 2, I'm going to be using Zared's ability a lot, so I really want to crank that up as much as I possibly can. And second of all, the other cards in the pack weren't so good that I would regret taking that. I take a Mazat Ranger there, but as you can see, we're really loaded on like 4 and 5 here, so it's quite important that I get those early drops. If I could have picked up that necessary sacrifice earlier, which was something I could have done, I might look for something like a Shroom Shrow or something along those lines. Just a nice defensive drop, because we're definitely shaping up to be a control deck here. So I don't need to go ahead and start really drafting aggressive 2 and 3 drops, but I do want some. The problem that I do have is that Rigid Buffalo is unlikely to make my deck, because if I'm playing Terrible Transfer, I want to be heavy blood. And under those circumstances, it's going to be very unlikely that I get to repel. Couple of interesting things here. There's Mazat Ranger. I could also take Terrabot just simply as a 5 mana, as a 7 mana 3/5 flyer. Obviously pretty terrible, but it's not awful. I decided to take the Shard of Fate because I think that the one thing that could give me trouble here is going to be my mana. And Mazat Ranger isn't such a high pick that you're going to see it a ton. Now, choice again, a Mazat Ranger or a third TT. I think I'm going to take the Mazat Ranger. Again, 4/1 Swift Strikes, especially against either if you're against Sapphire, Diamond, and Wild, the Mazat Ranger can be a real pain to deal with if it has Swift Strike. Blood can obviously kill it really easily, and so can Ruby. Like pretty much anything that breathes in its direction from Ruby kills it. But I don't mind it as a guy, and I think that TTs seem to go really late just because you have to be so heavily in blood. So I'm actually okay taking the risk that I might miss it, because I think that that's more likely to come back, and also I do fancy having some guys. Wow, another terrible transfer. It's either that or an Atrophy. I think it's TT here. So yeah, we've got 3 TTs now. Unless I was going mono blood, I would not want to have more than 3 in my pool, and I don't think I have the pool to go mono blood at this point. With a pack and a half to go, it could be possible, but I think that it'd be weaker than going Blood Diamond, especially since I've got the Solitary Exile and the Spirit Walker. But yeah, I'm just thinking that my mana's going to be what hurts me here more than anything else. That's the only thing, because the deck's pretty powerful just looking at it. There's very few bad cards. Not a lot in this pack though. Wall of Corpses is pretty meh, although considering I can't beat through it, apart from with my 2 Scar Griffins, I may just take that because of how annoying it is. Blinding Light is a pretty meh card. I don't really like fogs in limited. I take the Determined Zombie there because it's the only card that I have. Plus, if you don't have anything, it is a half decent emergency 2-drop, and sometimes you might just need to. Do that. And yes, the Spirit Walker does count itself if you are going to. If you use its ability. 4th TT. I could take the Throat Cutter, but I don't have any orcs at all, I don't think. So it's just a 2/2 with Rage for 3. I suppose I can take it and look to see if I can pick some orcs up, but it's not really the best. The one thing, I think it's probably better than a 4th TT though, because I just don't want to come up against a deck which has Throat Cutter in it. I think it'd be too fast for me to deal with. I'll take the Inquisition, thank you. It'll be decently useful against decks which have that 1 bomb threat that I can't quite deal with. Having said that though, Terrible Transfer is really good at dealing with big threats. You want to make sure that you are really, you want to make sure that you're primed against sort of the big threats coming in. I'll take another Determined Zombie. So far this draft's, I call it a bit meh. It started off pretty. I'll take Crushing Blow because it's the best card, and I'd rather not get blown out by it. It's okay, this draft. I wouldn't say it's anything special. I'll have another Determined Zombie. I'm looking to pick up quite a lot from pack 3. Certainly some more Skyle Griffins. I'm also going to take things like Pegasi and other 2 or 3 drops. Yeah, avert your eyes on this one, guys, because obviously the pick for the draft is actually Noble Citizenry here, but Royal Falconer is currently going for about 200 plat, and I also needed one for my collection, so I took it. Sorry. But yeah, the actual pick that you should take there is Noble Citizenry. Because obviously, if you slam a Mazat Ranger with Swift Strike and then give it +2/+2, it's pretty much unkillable in combat. Circle of Preservation isn't very good. Darkspire Priestess is pretty good. However, there is a Phoenix Guard Aeronaut in the pack, and I'm lamenting it a little bit here because the Priestess is a really good 2-drop, but I just don't think I can pass up the Aeronaut. It's not at its best in Blood Diamond, but you can give it Rage, and as long as you can keep stuff out of its way in its air, it just kills your opponent really quickly. I can also give it Swift Strike, or I can give it Life Drain as well. So, you know, it's a pretty good guy. Oh, this is tough. Wow, this is tough. A Noble Citizenry, an Aeronaut, and a Protectorate Clergyman, and a Skyle Griffin. This is a seriously beefy pack. The number one, I'm leaning towards Clergyman just because of my lack of 3-drops. Also, Clergyman is sick. The other thing that kind of gets shunted on this one is my 2 Mazat Rangers. If you go Clergyman into Mazat Ranger, it's a 5/2 Swift Strike to go with your 3/2. Yeah, I think that Clergyman fits in a lot more with what I'm trying to get for my deck, and I'm also looking at that going, I expect to get either a Citizenry, an Aeronaut, or a Skyle Griffin back. Probably a Skyle Griffin. There's nothing really here for me. I'm going to take the Skyle Griffin. So I've got 3 Skyle Griffins now as well. So my four drops are absolutely stacked at this point. So you know, I'm really looking to try and fill out my 2s, 3s, and 4s at this point. Heavy Welding Botter go well with my Sapper's Charge, since it digs up a artifact costing 1 or less when it comes into play. But I need a 2-drop. Incubation Slave isn't really a 2-drop because it's an 0/2 and it costs 6 to use its ability. But again, against the decks which don't have burn or a direct way to remove it, it's pretty much a 1-card win condition. So I'll take that as probably the best card in the pack. I don't really want to pick up Jesus, i.e. the Protectorate Sorcerer. So we'll leave it at that. Chimera Guard Outrider. Apparently the Hex Engine's a bunny. Interesting. As you can see, not everything's ironed out in the beta yet. So yeah, let's stack up the 4-drops again. I think I'll probably be leaving some of these out. Although I might not, I might just play all of them. Although I really am looking to pick up 2-drops here, because you can see I've really not got that many. My deck's very, very, very seriously leaning towards 2. Oh, nice. Shroomshraw is a really nice control card. Malfunctioning Warbot is just a really nice card on the whole. It allows you to put a little bit of pressure on. And what I'm really looking to do, I'd prefer the 2/2 just because it'll allow me to trade in the early game. Also, I think Shroomshraw is very likely to come round again. There's not many people who would take a Shroomshraw, so I decided to take the Warbot there. Either's fine. I just want a 2-drop in that at that point. Necessary Sacrifice is a good pickup, and now we're really just hoping that that Shroomshraw comes back round. Again, how many have I got there? 8 4-drops and 4 5-drops. That's really about as much as I want. It might even be too many. You might even look at playing 18 shards off that. The default when you play a 40-card deck in Limited is to go for a... oh, why am I not taking that Shroomshraw? That's terrible. Reversion's not a bad sideboard or reserve card, but considering I've got Necessary Sacrifice and I'm short of 2-drops, I should have taken the Shroomshraw there. Call the Grave's a really nice card. one of the fun things you can do if you're playing a mirror match, you can dig up your opponent's cards. Wow, look at what came back in that pack. 10th pick Phoenix Guard Aeronaut. I'll take some of that. I mean, additionally, there was a Ruby Lance and I think a Crushing Blow in that pack. So that was a very, very, very strong pack. But I'm really happy to get that Aeronaut back. Probably, if I can get a Shroom Throw back, I will be really happy with this deck. I'm actually going to take the Assault Technician here because it's just randomly annoying. If I'm surprised, that pretty much says to me that there's not a bot deck out there, because if there was a bot deck out there, I'm pretty sure Assault Technician would have gone. It's essentially a 5-mana 5/5 split across 2 creatures, and it buffs your bots as well, so I just think it's really good. Nice to pick up a second Rigid Buffalo, depending on the mana, and 15th pick Shroom Troll, perfection. So we got some 2-drops right towards the end there. So the only place where I feel this deck is currently weak is in the 3-drop area. I probably won't be playing all the terrible transfers. I'll probably play 2 main deck, because I think it's the weakest of my 5-drop cards. Make sure that's in there. Charge Bat, Inquisition, Shroom Shrow. Yep. Not going to play that. Definitely play those. That's 27 cards, and so I need to get rid of 4. So the Inquisition can come out. I can board it in if I need to. Buffalo can come out due to mana issues, and let's just have a look at the cost here. It's not quite as bad as I thought. It's still not great, but it's not quite as bad. I think we lose 1 TT. Yeah, I think 2 really bad. So it just leaves me to sock him. Oh no, first off, Champion. For those of you who play Hearthstone, you'll be familiar with this, or something like it. In Hex, you control the champion with an ability as well, except it has qualifying stats on the, qualifying attributes on the ability. Zared gives -1/-1 permanently to a creature. When he has 4 charges, you can expend 4 charges as long as you control a blood shard and give a creature permanent -1/-1. So, Mazat Rangers, I'm going to give Swift Strike, and the Phoenix Guard Aeronauts, I'm going to give Rage. As a default, anyway. Okay, so let's put some shards in. I definitely want the Shard of Fate. I'm going to go with 17. Again, as I said, the default is 17 in-deck resources for a 40-card deck. Since I don't have any 6-drops whatsoever, and I'm only playing 5 5-drops, I think that 17 is probably fine here. So, and because I'm playing Terrible Transfer, I want to be slightly ahead on Blood Shards as opposed to Diamond Shards. So I'm going 9-7 in favour of Blood Shards. So that is going to be the deck. And it's not terrible. I'll say that. It's certainly not terrible. I would have maybe preferred, if I wanted perfection out of the deck, I probably would have preferred another Darkspire Priestess or something like, just something else I could have put in the 2-drop. The main weakness of this deck, as I see it, is that it maybe has too much in the way of sort of heavy late game rather than like Super Punch. I would have liked a bomb or two, obviously, like a Uranaz or a Vampire King or something like that, but you can't always have everything. I think this deck's definitely capable of getting me out of the first round, and that's really the goal when you play Hex Draft, is make sure you get out of the first round, because that's when you break even. Anyway, guys, welcome to the brand new Hex interface. This is after the patch, and you'll notice we're both playing Zared. So the game has changed GUI quite a bit. You'll see it a lot more when there are cards in play. Now, we've got good things going for us here. Our opponent is playing a 46 card deck, so therefore he's certainly not playing an optimized deck at the moment. However, he is playing Zared, which makes me rather sad because I have Mazat Rangers, which he'll just eat. So I'm really hoping that I will get my one Protectorate Clergyman in order to buff them all up. Well, not too bad. As you can see here, the cards are a lot more viewable than they used to be. In addition, the interface has been improved, and I think just everything's been improved about the way the game works, to tell you the truth. It feels really, really good now. The resources have moved a little bit. If you look at the left-hand side, that is, you know, I'm represented by this spider dude, Zared. Looks like we've got a mirror match. He's made diamond. And my life total, 20 there, and the number of charges I have at the bottom in the number in orange, which is 2. I get a charge every time that I make a basic shard, i.e. a diamond or a blood shard or something like that. And my thresholds above my deck to the right. I don't want to make Shroom Shroor immediately here, so I'm going to make a... I'm going to use the Shard of Fate now while I don't lose any real tempo from it. Because the last thing I want to do is top deck a 3-drop and then only have Shard of Fate. If necessary, I can just make Shroom Shroor. It's not too much of a problem. Whoa, that's a nice top deck. Well, we've got what we wanted. That's the Protectorate Clergyman down. So as long as he doesn't have a murder or some other nasty way to deal with it, we're pretty much ahead here. Because we can just negate Zared's ability now with that Clergyman. So if he has a removal spell, he has to use it on that Clergyman now. Oh, we got 3 colours. And he does nothing on turn 3. Okay, so one of the cards he could be representing, you saw it in the draft, is Repel, which is destroy target's attacking creature for 2 mana. So I am, number 1, casting this Mazat Ranger pre-combat, and number 2, I'm not going to attack with my Protectorate Clergyman because there's a lot more value in him than 3 damage and walking into a Repel. So I am just going to... I mean, next turn I can make either, depending on whether I draw a shard or not, I can make a 3/5 Skyle Griffin, or I can make a 4/3 Phoenix Guard Aeronaut. Then I will be in a position to attack, just because I've got so much stuff. Okay, it looks like he's mana screwed at this point. And he discards a Rigid Buffalo. Yeah, playing a 3-colour shard deck and playing Rigid Buffalo is extremely greedy. Make the Aeronaut pre-combat, and in fact at this point now I'm so far ahead I just want to put the screws to him. At this point getting the extra +1/+1 on the Sky Griffin isn't that as much of a deal. I just want to put him on a dead clock. And in that position I think he'd probably have used Repel on the Mazat Ranger anyway, because he can't deal with that at all outside of a kill spell. And in fact he just had nothing, so... yeah, I think that certainly the way his deck was, he's playing 3 colours, he's playing Rigid Buffaloes and things like that. So, you know, I'm really sort of weirded out as to what he's playing. He could just have a ton of good cards and just not really had the discipline to put the to try and build a coherent strategy, more to try and just fit all the best cards in a deck. I take out the Shroom... it's really hard to sideboard because I haven't seen any of his deck. He just made 3 shards and then scooped. So... I make a bit of a blind sideboard there, but we shall see how things go. And we're just waiting for the game to load. Yep, we're back. Oh, he sideboarded down to 44 this time, so he's taken 2 cards out. So we've got a mono blood opening, but that's actually fine because I have the terrible transfer. You know, I'm cool with that. Call the Grave's actually really good in this matchup because it can target any creature in any graveyard. So if he has a really good creature like a Vampire King or an Angel of Dawn or something like that, then I can kill it with terrible transfer and then steal it. So yeah, that's pretty powerful stuff going on there. He chose to draw here, so he obviously knows that he's on a bit of a hiding to nothing as far as his mana goes. But this is one of the real disadvantages of playing these 3 color strategies, is that, you know, if you're playing those strategies, you really have to have a you really have to be strict with what you put in your deck. You know, you can't put a terrible transfer in a 3-color deck, for example, because it's not. You're going to pay 5 mana to do 3 damage to a creature at best. You know, if he's got a load of blood spells in his hand at this point, he's getting what he deserves pretty much. I'm just going to cast Incubation Slave here. He is representing, once again, he's representing both Repel and Counter Magic. But we'll see. Let's just chuck Incubation Slave out there. Oh, I do have an Orc, so my Throat Cutter, it is an Orc, so my Throat Cutter would actually do fine there. Now, he thought about that for a long time, so again, I'm sort of reading him for Counterspell here, or Counter Magic, not Counterspell. And he does Shadowgrove Witch, and I'm just going, nice job, I don't have a single creature in hand at this point. Although you can look at this terrible transfer, which I'm going to dome your Shadowgrove Witch with. Surprised he didn't use his hero ability there, but he didn't have to. But I don't have to either, and I'm going to dome his Shadowgrove Witch. Putting me up to 24 and just hitting for 2. Unfortunately, I've drawn quite a lot of, shall we say, not fascinating cards at the moment. So my goal at this point is to just... If the Incubation Slave survives, I think that my main goal at this point is just going to be sitting on my Incubation Slave for as long as I possibly can. And he makes Rigid Buffalo. In fact, he makes 2 Rigid Buffalos. Yeah, this deck is super, super greedy. Yeah, playing like double Rigid Buffalo in it. And the thing is, it's like he's being super greedy for cards that aren't actually that good. You know, if Rigid Buffalo's fine, but it's not it's not brutally amazing or anything like that. It's just it's a fairly decent card. That's all it is. And mana's a really big deal in this game. In fact, sometimes I feel a bit ropey going 2 colors. That's why I picked Shard of Fate so highly. So I am really not a fan of playing like double colors in both. You're playing double Rigid Buffalos in your 3-color deck with almost no fixing. That's really asking for it. In Magic the Gathering, it would be called the classic 6/6/6 mana base, which is something you really don't want. Okay, beans me for 2. I'm winning this race. I shrunk one of his Buffalo there just to slow down the beats that he can give me. He shrinks my Wailing Banshee. That's fine. I can hit him for 1 and then cast Necessary Sacrifice. I'm actually getting really badly flooded here. I should attack for... Yeah, there you go. Actually caught myself there. The only reason to do that is if I thought for some reason he'd repel my 1/1. Let's just hit him for 1, cast Necessary Sacrifice. And you can see he has Counter Magic as well. So you're talking, he's playing 2 Rigid Buffalos. I'm going to pick up his Shadowgrove Witch here with Call the Grave. He's playing 2 Rigid Buffalos and Counter Magic in a 3-colour deck, that is seriously, seriously asking for it. And, you know, I'm not... in the first... I wouldn't do that without... I'd have to have Lixil the Deathless Gem as one of my rares. I would have to have at least 3 Shards of Fate, and I would probably have to have an adaptable infusion device as well. So, you know, I would have to have all these ridiculously good, you know, all this fixing, and even then I probably still wouldn't go to the lengths he did. So let's have a look with my Shadow Grove Witch. Okay, he has an Inner Conflict in hand as well, but as you can see, the beats have been incredibly slowed down now, so no need to worry. I'm not going to block this turn because I don't have my ability active. I could block, but I really don't want to. I really don't want to get blown out by Bravery. I wouldn't get blown out because I could still repel his guy, but I don't want to waste my repel on a Rigid Buffalo. I'd rather have it for a creature that mattered. You know, he's attacking with both of them, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if he had a Bravery here. I mean, I know it's a free roll attack, but... Cool, another terrible transfer, so the likelihood of us dying here is pretty much 0, and our Incubation Slave is just going to continue to tick up. As you can see, we've got 2 cards against 2 cards here, and that's a pretty good peel. But again, I am going to just take... What I'm going to do here is take 3 and then ding his guy at the end of turn. Because, once again, I don't want to leave myself... I mean, I'm leaving myself open come what may if he has murder, but this leaves me a little bit less open. Because he could have solitary confinement or some other, like, horrific thing that... You know, another double diamond thing at this point to kill my guy. I probably shouldn't have been so quick to lay a shard there, but it's okay. My Incubation Slave is just going to keep ticking, and when it dies, I'm going to get a 2-1 for every... You know, when I sacrifice it, I'm going to get a 2-1 for every counter on it. So I really don't mind just leaving it on board. He sacks his adaptable infusion device just to get himself another card. I could just take 3 here. I don't really have a need to do anything. Yeah, just pull it off the blocks and just go. Just take 3. Just because I've got the repel, I don't have to use it. I'm not in any danger whatsoever. I don't quite have lethal yet, which is why I didn't blow up my grenade there. Sky Griffin or hold up the Incubation Slave. I'm going to make the Griffin just because, alright, I don't have the Slave up at this point, but I think if he could have removed it, he would have done at this point, or he did force me to blow it. Oh, Buccaneer, really. I actually don't think that Incubation Slaves, I don't know if Incubation Slaves counters fall off or not when it comes back to hand. I haven't actually tried that. But I don't think they do. But anyway, he put my Griffin back in hand, so never mind. Again, there's no need for me to cast Repel here. And he's not removed my Incubation Slave again, so let's just let it tick up to 8. The Charge Bot's actually not a bad draw at all, because this lets me put another body on the field. And I can just pass here, and I will make 16 power worth of guys for 6 mana if I choose. Okay. So he's playing a lot of very average cards in this deck. There really wasn't any need to go 3 colours. Okay, let's see what he attacks with. So he's just committed suicide to an on-table trick, it looks like there. Since he's seen the repel, I'm going to use it. And I think noble citizenry is the best thing to use it on, so let's at least prevent 2 damage and kill his guy. To be honest, if I'd have been a little bit more patient, I could have just called the grave there. And we're at the end of turn now, so I'm just going to make 8, 2, 1 spiders. Spiders. And now it's a case of, well, you have to kill one of these spiders. And then you have to survive the next turn as well, because you simply don't have the power to actually kill me at this point. Yep, he doesn't have anything, so dying to so he pretty much killed himself to an on-table trick there, which was a bit unfortunate for him. Now, we're here just before round 2, and you'll notice that Shallowgrave has a bye, because what happened was that Sulka or Suka or whatever won his first round and then dropped. And apparently this is something that's happening in Hex at the moment. We're beginning to see quite a lot of it. I don't know, maybe it's because people think the format's going stale or something, but I would personally never do it, and to be honest, I've actually always been a fan of the winner of the draft picks up the rares style format, because what happens in that format is basically that you divide out all the rares at the end of the draft, and the winner picks first, and then it goes round. And what that prohibits is basically just rare drafting. Now, obviously, that's for the more competitive person, and I personally did that when I was playing with a fairly high-level group of Magic players in the UK. Obviously, casual players aren't going to like that sort of format, because that means you have to be good at the game or you don't get to pick up any rares. So there's swings and roundabouts to it, but I really don't like the idea of just drafting and dropping. I hate it really, because it spoils it for everyone else. I've kept a really dodgy hand here. It had 2 shards in it, but I was on the draw, so I figured I've got Solitary Exile and Protectorate Clergyman, so I'm not too worried about the draw, but things could go wrong for me for sure. Now, my opponent's hero is Nin, and he's being played by Deck of Many Things. So I'm up against a mill deck. And these can be good, bad, indifferent, depending on how good the draft went for you. Because some of the cards, like Twisted Fate, come really, really late. So it's a very high-risk strategy. But if you get it right, it can be very good. I feel like you need a Chronic Madness, or you need a couple of rares just to make things right for you. Okay, next main phase. So I've got Solitary Exile if I get my second diamond. Phoenix Guard Trainer is a pretty decent monster, so I am just going to Sappers Charge it now. I don't want to be dealing with a load of high flying guys. They're just annoying. He could definitely be a sort of hybrid deck which has a lot of flyers in and also has a sort of mill secondary theme. But I feel okay here. You know, I'm up on cards. All right, he's milling me a little bit, but he's not doing anything like super bad to me at this point. And this can happen with the mill decks. Often they'll get rid of like 10 cards of your library really quickly. And then if you put a pressure on them, then they've got to start adapting to what you're doing. So that's when they start slowing down. And spawn is really easy for me to deal with, assuming I top deck a fourth shard. And I miss, so... This is one of the reasons why I was contemplating playing 18 shards. Because when you... have a lot of 4s and 5s, and this deck is really centralized around 4 and 5s. Missing your 4th land drop is absolutely criminal, and therefore you really don't want to do it. So therefore playing 18 shards is a barrier against it. I think that I can't quite remember the mathematics, but I think if you play 18 shards, you're something like only 35% to miss your 4th land drop. I'll have to bring up the mathematics for that at some point. But you're pretty likely to hit your 4th shard drop, whereas on 18, on 17, you're obviously about 3 or 4% less. But the other side of that is I have no 6 drops, so I don't really want to be drawing shards much after the 5th turn. But it's also the fact that Zared has one, you know, Zared has the one ability basically, you know, that you require 4 for. But you know, I'm still fine here, assuming I can hit a shard at some, you know, a 3rd shard at some point. Nope, obviously not. Yeah, I think I'm being a bit pessimistic there. I've certainly got turns. No, I think it's going to take him a few turns to take me down, and I've got a few turns to top deck my way out of this. And the thing that which makes it sort of doubly irritating here is that if that 4th shard is a diamond shard, I kill his Twisted Fate, I kill his 1/1 for free, and then I've got Incubation Slave and Protectorate Clergyman on the field, which is basically just, he's dead. Well, I don't have Protectorate Clergyman anymore, but he's down to 2 cards in hand now, so... Actually, that's what this deck's missing. My beloved Giant Corpse Fly, that's what this deck's missing. I would trade my 2 Mazat Rangers for 2 Corpse Flies. That's what I'd do. Okay, mills me for 2, and then he's going to mill me for 5 using the Spawn Sire. I think it's 5 it mills me for if I've got more than 10 cards in my library. Is it 5? Yep, it's 5. And he makes the Mazat Ranger, which is a 4/1. Oof. Yeah, I don't think I need to concede. Oh, yeah, I think I do, because he's going to get to hit me again with the Spawn Sire, which is going to put me on 5 cards because of his draw. So even if I kill his guy, he's just going to mill me out. So I'm pretty sure that we're done there, come what may. So that was a bit shoddy, really. I think I make a bit of a mistake when I'm putting in my reserves here, because it's very easy to do when you have had a mana screw. It's very, very easy for you to go, oh, I'll just put more shards in, or I'll just put more land in Magic, or something like that. It isn't really down to that. Got another bug here where I can't see my cards, so I have to just keep zooming into them. Yeah, that's not great. I think the reason I go up to 18, or one of the reasons I justify to myself to go up to 18 here, is because I boarded in Misfortune. I boarded out Incubation Slave because I don't think I have the time to let it tick up. Plus he's playing Blood and Sapphire, both of which are cards which are... Yeah, people are still mentioning. They have improved the AI, actually, for in this latest patch. They've improved quite a lot of things. I mean, obviously the visual bugs are still there a little bit, but to me, the whole client feels really... smooth. And just everything about it feels so much better than it used to. And I intend to play an awful lot of this game while it's still going. I think I should mulligan this hand. Yeah, I end up keeping... Again, you can justify to yourself, well, my deck's 50% shards, so therefore, you know, I'm more likely to hit a shard. But the thing is, if you do those maths in your head, and this happens an awful lot when you're playing Magic, if you do those maths, if you think about it here, if I draw one shard, that doesn't really help me. You know, I can't cast anything else. I'm going to need to draw 2 shards to get myself in a decent position. So the odds of me drawing 2 shards are a lot less than the odds of me drawing 1 shard. And even if I only need to draw 1 shard, I more than likely lose the game if I don't draw 1 shard. And there's still a 25... We're talking by turn 3 here, so I'm only going to draw 2 cards before turn 3. So there's a 25% chance I'm going to miss. And if I miss, I lose the game for the vast majority, you know, for the thought of it. Additionally, I have got 2 diamond cards in my hand and no diamond mana. So therefore, I really should be looking at... Fortunately, mill blood there. I am going to have to, you know, really get lucky on my shards here. And of course, I get my other double diamond card in my deck. So, yeah. Well, I'm going to at least get to attack for a little bit and see what happens. Fortunately, he's not putting any pressure on me. But yeah, I'm super far behind now. If I was against a deck... If he had like a Spawn Sire or he had Chronic Madness or something like that, a way that he could really... you know, he could really put the screws to me. Yeah. And yeah, and he says in his round 1 opponent had to bail. So these things happen. This draft was a little bit disjointed, shall we say. We had people ditching the draft and all things like that. Okay, he makes double Twisted Fate now. But again, the disadvantage of cards like Twisting Fate are that they don't affect the board. They are his win condition, but they don't really affect the board. Okay, I miss another shard drop. I mean, yes, at this point, I am now on turn... Is it turn 4? So I'm now on turn 4 or 5, and I haven't seen a second shard, which is dumb, obviously. But if we actually look, my opponent hasn't seen one either. So we're actually still in this game as long as he keeps screwing out as well. But he's mono-coloured, so he gets to recover a little bit. I mean, fortunately, his Spawn Sire's not going to get me. He got 2 5-drops there, so good. You can mill those. And he makes a Guard Scout. Okay, cool beans. But this all comes back to the fact that I think this was a really ropey keep. That's obviously an amazing top deck. But again, even after that, I need to top deck another shard. So this is why it was a super ropey keep. This isn't a deck where... You know, this isn't a deck where I can take risks with my mana. Or keep two shard hands that much. If I was playing a more aggressive deck, 2 shard hands are much easier to keep. Now, you actually missed something on the last turn. I should have bluff attacked. Because I wasn't going to use my Sapper's Charge to kill my his Phoenix Guard Scout, but he wasn't really to know that. So... Now, again, I can bluff attack again here. Well, I'm not really bluff attacking here. Because I will use Zared's ability. And the other thing here is that I haven't made a shard yet, but I can very easily make one post-combat, and that's what makes the hero powers so attractive. I wouldn't just lay a shard down if I didn't have to. And he goes ahead and blocks here. So I'm going to go for plan B, which is to call the grave my charge bot. Make the charge bot, put myself on 4 charges and kill his guard scout. That's the plan anyway. It's one of the more fun things you can do. You can do all sorts of things with Call the Grave. I really like it. And he time ripples his own guard scout, which I'm fine with. You know, if he wants to burn a time ripple on that, it's fine. Because he's got a shard screw going on at this point as well. There we go, he's out of it now. So we might be able to get back in again. But he's got me on a clock for sure here. I think he just milled four shards or something there. Yep, there's the 1-3. I'm still going to attack with both of my guys. I should attack with both of my guys. Again, because I can't... I'm fine making the shard pre-combat there, because I'm not going to be able to... And he just takes it that turn, which is odd. But never mind. Let's make the guard. Let's make the guard Outrider, because that's the thing that has the biggest amount of power on it. Mazat Ranger also has a large amount of power, but it also dies to the Phoenix Guard. Well, it doesn't die to the Phoenix Guard Sky. It does if you can buff its toughness, I suppose. Okay, so now we're pretty much both out of the screw. I could do with hitting a 5th shard, but as you can see, I only have 14 cards left in my library. But the thing is, he's halfway there with his decking, and I'm about to start kicking him in the face really hard. You can see that that Warbot has already done 9 damage of its own accord. And next turn I'm going to swing for 7 at him, plus wherever the bot pings. So he has to really think about what he's doing now. So I don't begrudge him taking this time, because this is actually a complex situation. Ugh. Yeah, you're not... Yeah, that's dying. Yeah, that is definitely dying. I was contemplating committing more to the board, but I'm actually going to put Zarlax in a box, is what I'm going to do this turn. I don't quite have the mana to do that, I'm afraid, so box for you, Zarlax. Get in the box. And I'm just hoping he doesn't have any more time ripples, because that'd be unfortunate. I should actually have attacked with everything there, because the worst he can do is block my charge bot, and in that case he takes 6 going to 4, and I have the Sapper's Charge out, so it puts him pretty much on dead. I do have Rockcaster next turn for whatever he casts as well, as long as it's below, as long as it's 3 or below. So we might just sneak out of this one, despite the utterly horrific start. Tell you what, when I missed my third land drop for 4 or 5 turns in a row there, I was convinced I was dead. But things have a habit of sometimes turning for the right. And again, a third Twisted Fate, fine, it doesn't do anything. As long as if you don't survive this turn, Corpse Fly is a good card. Yep. Shall we scare him? I'm actually going to scare him because I don't think he intends to attack with anything at any point, so I'm going to drop this Repel. Because I intend to just kill his guys, is what I'm aiming to do now. And he's tapped out, so... And obviously I draw a Shard of Fate, so I can't play either of my 5 drops. So my deck having a good troll at me there, just for a laugh. So I think my play here is Sapper's Charge. No, I think my play is attack with everything and then make probably Mazat Ranger. Or Sky Griffin doesn't die to as many things, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Let's have a look at his life total and then we'll see. Because next turn I've got Terrible Transfer as well. I'm just seeing what he blocks with what. Yeah, that's the best attack. Still thinking. Because he trades Corpse Fly for the Warbot. He blocks Charge Bot with the Guard Scout and takes 4. Puts him on 1. And then I kill him with Sapper's Charge if he does it that way. The other way I think he blocks is he trades Corpse Fly for the 2-1. Sorry, he trades Corpse Fly for the 2-2. Blocks the 4-4 with the 1-3. Takes 1. Goes to 4. I make Skyle Griffin probably at that point. And then Prey doesn't have something like Necessary Sacrifice or something like that. Although he's going to... it'd be... Would Oracle Song... Oracle Song would not be enough to kill me. So it depends if he has 2 card draws. Yeah, I'd block slightly different than that, but I suppose he's hoping not... If I had Bravery... The thing is, he didn't play around Bravery there. If I had it, he's dead. So that wasn't really the best thing he could have done. But there you go, just make the Scowl Griffin. It makes it harder to block. You know, if he has a guy on the ground now at this point, he can only block 2 of my guys. Oracle Song mills me for 6, which puts me on 1 card in my library, and then I draw it for my turn on tap and kill him. So, unless he has like double Oracle Song or something like that, I think I'm okay here. Very, very close game, this one. And then we've got to play a third after this. Well, there's his 4-1 Flying Mazat Ranger. And that won't be enough, one way or the other. If my does my Warbot ping him? Damn treacherous Warbot. I can Rockcaster or Terrible Transfer here and the game's up. Either of them's fine. Yep, that's game. So we're on to game 2 now. And that looked very, very ropey. I think you could have got pretty long odds on me winning that one early on in the game. Now, I think I decide to take Misfortune out now. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm looking at my 5 drops here. I think I want to take Misfortune out. When you're in a race situation, you don't want to be spending 5 mana to deal 2 damage. This I don't agree with at all. Basically, what happened was, I got the stupid idea in my head that I thought he was playing Zared for some reason because I'd seen blood in his deck, and obviously Mazat range is terrible against Zared. And I swap in a Diamond Shard and 2 Rigid Buffalo. Now, it sort of makes sense. You know, it kind of makes sense in a way, because I am, and all the artwork's going to hell at the moment here. It kind of makes sense in a way because I am looking to put the beat down on him, basically. I'm trying desperately to find out why I'm 41 cards at the moment. And then I found out I accidentally bought in the Tech Giant Army Ants, otherwise known as the Rubbish Giant Army Ants. So I can kind of understand where I'm coming from there, because I want the fast start. I want to go 2-drop, 3-drop, kill your guy, kill you. And I think that's probably the best way to attack these decks. So I can understand it, but I don't really want to take Mazat Ranger out if I'm going to do that. I would probably take out like 1 terrible transfer and maybe the Shroom Shroor or something like that. This is the ubiquitous 5-land 2 spells hand, and anyone who's played Magic or played Hex or anything like that knows that when you have a 5-shard 2-spell hand, your first card you draw is always a shard. It's just the law. It's written that way. Oh, I didn't. I drew another 2-drop. That's really good. So I can go 2-drop, 2-drop, hit him, hit him, hit him, hit him. At least that's what I'm planning to do. The Grand Strategist can be an annoying card, but he's a 1/1. Most of the stuff that's in this guy's deck is a 1/1. Now, if he has a Buccaneer on turn 3, that would be irritating. Yeah, the spawn's gonna die to my hero ability, so I'm not particularly worried about that. The Grand Strategist can certainly be annoying, but as you can see, he's down to 4 cards in hand already, and he's got 2 1/1s on the board. So I'm really not... and he's not got a Twisted Fate, so he's not turbo milling me yet or doing anything of the sort. So I'm going to make a Rigid Buffalo here, and then I'm just going to hope to try and go to town on him. First video I've recorded for a while with the sound effects, and they're well worth it. I basically use Shadow Play to record this rather than XSplit, which is what I usually use, and the actual raw video file produced by Shadow Play is amazing quality. Unfortunately, it's about 4.5 gigabytes per hour. Now, sadly, what happened there was that my opponent timed out, and he did contact me later on to say it was a timeout. He wasn't trying to BM me. There was actually 5 minutes there which passed. It would have been a very interesting race. The thing it's I mean, I can come from my side saying that, you know, I had, with a Diamond Shard, I had game 1 won, and it wasn't close. So, you know, it's a bit of swings and roundabouts on those. I think I had a superior deck to him. Game 3 would have been interesting. I think it pretty much all would have hung on whether I drew... If I drew 2 action cards in a row, I think I would have been good. Because I can control his Grand Strategist, I can also control his Spawn Sire, and I think that he's going to draw 1 or 2 too many dead cards. So I'm up against Shallowgrave, who, as we remember, had a bye into the final from the semi-final. So I don't really know how strong his deck is. He is also playing Nin, so he looks like he's going to be another mill deck, which is a little bit... There's usually... I'm a bit worried at this point, because there's usually not enough cards to build 2 mill decks in a draft. And my opponent in the last round had 3 Twisted Fates. He also had the Zarlax. So I think this guy's probably going to be, instead of being like a pure mill deck like my opponent was last time, he's more than likely going to be either a value or a defender mill deck. Now, if we think about it, there was a Circle of Preservation in the draft, and there were a couple of other things as well. And so there were a few defensive cards in that draft, so he might be on that sort of deck. I honestly don't know at this point. But I've got pretty much the perfect curve if he doesn't come out and murder me, because I've got Incubation Slave into Clergyman into Ranger, which is pretty insane. You know, I'm going to go guy who produces 1,000,000 guys into 3/2 Inspire, into 5/2 Swift Strike, into 5/2 Swift Strike. And I'm up against someone who doesn't have mass sweepers, because there's no such thing as a mass sweeper in this in his colours. And see, I don't agree with this play. If he was concerned about my Clergyman, I would have waited until I cast a spell, and then I would have time rippled the Clergyman in response, so therefore my guy doesn't get the Inspire, and also it means I don't have a Clergyman on the board. So, but this way I still have the Clergyman on the board. I should kill his 1/1 here because of Noble Citizenry. I did see 2 of them. And if he Noble Citizenries it and makes it a 3/3, that puts me on a clock. So I really think I should have just killed his 1/1 with Zared there. I was looking for a bit more value than just killing a fairly useless 1/1. Thanks for milling 2 shards, bro. Sorry about the slight skip there, guys. I got interrupted as I was commentating, so I've just had to skip it and cut a little bit. But he attacked for 1, and you know, now I'm just going to redo my plan. He could very easily have counter magic here, but the fact of the matter is, if he does have counter magic, then he's lost a turn anyway. If he doesn't have counter magic, then he is going to die. You know, unless he has a Sapper's Charge available, he's going to die. I'm really contemplating not attacking with my Clergyman here, so I can have another 5/2, but again, because I've got the 5/2 with Swift Strike down, I decide to just go ahead and attack. And he really seems to be doing an awful lot of nothing at the moment. I could have held the Clergyman back there for sure. Okay, he makes a 3/2 with more than likely... Yeah, Swift Strike it has. No, it's not. It has Life Drain. I do apologise. Just looking at the symbol on it, it's Life Drain it has. But I'm just going to shoot that with the Sapper's Charge. It really depends what I draw. Oh, that's a great draw because it puts me on... His Time Ripple has had a bit of an effect here because my Wailing Banshee is not going to get a boost because the Time Ripple makes the Protectorate Clergyman cost 1 more. And I'm just going to hit him for 8 and then make Wailing Banshee. And I still should kill his 1/1 here because, having said that though, even Noble Citizenry at this point isn't enough. I'm just going to destroy him with my guys. Okay, it's a shard. Yep, mill me for 2. Going to be mill for 2 and concede, just so you can look at a few more cards in my deck. And he makes a wizard. Okay, wizard is fine. And again, you have a quick action. Why are you playing it in main phase? There's no need to play it main phase. You can just play it in response to me using Zared's ability. How many ways can I kill you? Best way would probably be -1/-1 on his 1/1, Rockcaster his 2/2 flyer, and attack with everything, putting him on 2 with nothing. I could also do things this way. He can't block all that lot. This kills his 1/1. And I can Rockcaster his 2/2 anyway now. And I suppose this doesn't put my Clergyman at risk. Or I can also make another 5/2 with Swift Strike. You know, this is a situation where it's very, very hard to make a wrong play because you just have so much power on the board. There's not really a way you can lose. Rockcaster as well. I'm just going to cast it, kill his 2/2. Alright, he has a 3/4, but so what? I have 2 5-power Swift Strikers, and I still have an ability of Zared. So it's very hard to actually make the wrong decision there. So, my opponent appears to be playing... There you go, I fixed the bug again. Yeah. My opponent appears to be playing sort of defendery control. With mill as a win condition, so I just want more removal. I actually want another terrible transfer in the deck if I can get it in there, but I'm trying to find things to take out because I just think my deck's way better than his is. So at least from what he showed me in that game, I think my deck's definitely better than his. I think maybe... I definitely want that third terrible transfer. Maybe over... This is tough. Not that. Nope, I just decide not to. I probably could do it over a Skull Griffin or something like that, but no, that doesn't seem too good either. Almost contemplating doing the dreaded 1842 there, just so that, you know, 18 Shard 42 cards, just because I wanted desperately to be able to, you know, I wanted desperately to be able to have a third terrible transfer in my deck, because I think he's really low. From that first game, it looked like he was really low on high quality cards. So he's going to be leaning very heavily on like his Wizard of the Silver Talon and his Flying First Strike dude. This is good if I can get my if I can get a Diamond Shard. This is a really good draw. I can go 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, and curving in draft is really good. It's like if you can just get a curve going, that's awesome. Yes, at least that's what that guy says. Oh, I lost my Clergyman. Damn it. I can Call the Grave it if I draw my Call the Grave. Oh, beginning to sweat again on my mana. Man, I don't really want to. Shall we make this as easy as possible? I'm 1 win away from a 3-0. Can we at least make this a little bit easy for me? Again, he does nothing on 3, so he could have counter magic. You know, a lot of the time this does mean counter magic. I'm going to throw the Banshee out there though. If he counter magics it, go him. Okay, he doesn't, and that's actually really good news for me because he can't block that Banshee. So I should actually attack there with the Shroomkin because he's not blocking, so there's not really much point. How many Rigid Buffaloes were there in this draft? And he mills a Diamond Shard and something I didn't quite see. I think if I were in his position, I'd be using Wyatt. He seems a lot more of a control deck. Yay! Diamond Shard. Make Mazat Ranger. All that. That is also fine. And just nip in for 2. So yeah, as you can see, 2-drop. Instead of what you saw in the last game where you went 1-drop, nothing, 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 5-drop. I'm just going 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, 4-drop, another 4-drop usually because my deck's 4s and 5s. And that's what keeps the pressure up when you're playing a game like this, because having a really uneven mana curve can cause real problems. And this is one of the cards which causes an uneven mana curve because it costs 3, then you use it, it costs 4, then it costs 5, then it costs 6, and all you're doing is preventing 1 damage or damage off 1 thing. So I actually think Circle of Preservation is a beginner's trap card. Yeah, that's pretty much all I need to say on that. I really think it's a beginner's trap card. I could try and kill his Scrivener immediately here, but I'm actually going to see if I can get a blowout, because I mean, the thing is, I have a Sapper's Charge on the table, so he shouldn't really fall for an on-table trick here. Should probably just use his circle, take 2. Oh, he's double blocking, interesting. So that says bravery. Yeah, see, there's bravery. And the thing is, I have a Sapper's Charge on the table, so why would you play like that? Because I just kill your Scrivener, and then my Rider kills your Rigid Buffalo, and I 3-for-1 you with an on-table trick. And that's something that really should never happen. You should never get 3-for-1'd by something that's an on-table trick. I mean, now he's just screwed. You know, unless he has a really, that's not very good. You know, unless he has a really good card to get back into this, which I don't think Diamond Sapphire has as a colour combination. I think he's just had it here now. Yeah, 6U. But this is where I came from when I was saying I think that he's playing a defensive creatures dot, and there's no need to chump block there either. He should just take, he should just return his circle, take 2. And I think he misclicked with his circle there. He said it was bugged, but I'm pretty sure that he made circle target itself rather than target the Banshee. I honestly don't know though, but that'd be the way that the arrows were moving. I actually made it looked like he targeted the circle with itself there. He does mention that it bugged, but I'm not too sure. But either way, here this looks pretty much hopeless for him now. Zodiac Shaman, probably the worst card in Sapphire. When you consider that like 2 mana for a 2/2 standard, paying 3 mana more for a 2/5, it's pretty bad. It would actually hold me off here if I didn't have Zared's ability. So, well, it sort of would because of Solitary Exile. You know, I do have Solitary Exile to remove it, but this gets through just as easily. 10. My general playstyle in Hex tends to be very much use things right at the last minute to get the most value out of them. And let's draw 3 cards. That's a very, very good 3 cards. So I think that we are done here. I don't really think it's possible for my opponent to win anymore. It might not even be possible for him to survive. Yay, he gets to survive a turn. And that shows that he made more out of this draft than I did, because I think Mastery of Time is something like that. It's 800 or 1,000 platinum at the moment. So, you know, it's a lot, put it that way. I'm just glad that I picked up my 4 really quickly. So I think the moment the auction house opened, I think the first thing I did was make sure I had 4 Mastery of Times, and at the time there were about 400 to 500 platinum. In fact, I think we are going to bring you some versus videos of Hex to show some of the metagame decks. The only card we're missing, I think, from the set, we need 3 Vampire Kings to have a full set. Mainly because I am not a... I don't think it's the best. You know, it commands the highest cost out of any of the blood cards, and I don't think it's in that class. I think it's a good card, but I think that it's outclassed by quite a few 4-drops. But I'm going to make him pay for... We're going to finish him off here. I'm going to make him pay for milling me earlier on by digging up my rock caster that he milled away using Call the Grave. I haven't played the Spirit Walker once this draft, so I guess we won't find out if it's bugged or not. I could have just terrible transferred there, but this has more this has more artistic flair to it. But yeah, we will be bringing you versus videos as well as the drafts, because now we can trade cards, we can actually build the decks. And that is going to be it. I don't even think... He could, in theory, survive this turn, but he's only really prolonging the inevitable. Especially considering what's in my hand, he's really prolonging the inevitable. And, yeah, he doesn't even block. The game's up. Good game, and that is a 3-0. And Blood Diamond Control is actually one of my... it's one of my favourite draft archetypes. Usually when you see 3-0 lists, it's a Blood Diamond list, or it's a Blood list, or it's a Dwarf list, to tell you the truth. Anyway, that's it for this draft, guys. This is Boomer for Caravel Gaming, and I'll see you next time.